when you're ready to start working on your business, I will help you, or I will replace you to help you work on your business to then help you sell. And it's
100%.
I mean, that's what every business owner, entrepreneur needs, is someone working on the business, whether it's them or someone like you. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Paper Jacket Podcast. In today's episode, we are talking with Kyle from Andrew & West. He is a fractional CMO over there. What is that? We're going to find out. There's a lot to uncover inside this episode from all the intricacies of what Andrew & West ultimately provides. I want to actually go ahead and say that in this episode, we have recorded during a very large thunderstorm. I have no idea if it made it into the audio or not, but if you do hear random thunder, it may not be coming from your outside. It may be coming from our microphones. Anyway, I'm glad for you to join us today. Let's get started with our conversation with Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Welcome to our podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So it's about time you're here, because you've been connected to Paper Jacket for a while.
Yep.
I don't think our audience really understands how you're connected to Paper Jacket. So it's time to spill the beans.
Well, a variety of ways, but most importantly, through my work at Andrew & West as a fractional CMO. As a leader for those companies, there's obviously quite a few times where there's a need for video work, podcasting, and things that you do. And the work that you guys have displayed over the years obviously has given me the confidence in, shipping that your way, so to speak.
Yeah. So, we naturally work with you and Andrew & West, who is a business marketing consultation firm. And that's what we're going to hear about today from you, man. So help us understand who Andrew & West is and really what you mean by being the CMO. Like, what does that mean for other companies and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, Andrew & West is obviously more than just a marketing conglomerate or marketing asset for clients to use. That's kind of how it all started, though, was there was a need for other companies and agencies that we work with for fractional leadership, specifically marketing. So a marketing agency like a New York Ave has a client that needs that extra help, but doesn't necessarily want the added expense of a leadership position, what it costs to hire a CMO these days, or even a director of marketing or a marketing manager can get pretty costly for a business when you add in, benefits and liability insurances and training time. And then you have to worry about, I spent 6 months training them. Well, they're leaving now. And so I've just wasted 6 months of time. So how Andrew & West really started was we saw a need that needed to be filled. And so myself, with almost 15 years of experience in the marketing industry, was able to fill that need from either as a high-level strategic consultant or a fractional CMO. And what it's kind of expanded to, over the last year or so is really a C-suite of fractional leadership, which can include a CMO, a VP of sales or a CRO, CEO, coaching, consulting. And we're even starting to fill roles even in the admin side with like marketing and development assistants or, sales, help and things like that. So, long story short, it's been an easy sell to a lot of these, to the small to medium sized business market, because they know they have a desire and a need to build out strategy for their various departments, but they're not ready yet financially to commit to a executive leadership position.
So basically, you are the person that they would hire before they would hire a full-time CMO or anything like that. Is that correct?
That's one way for sure. So a lot of what I do is I lay the groundwork. So a lot of times you may have a marketing team, or if it's a CRO, there's a sales team. And so there's things and tweaks that need to happen in order for those teams to perform better. or maybe they're at a point where they don't yet have a team at all, and so they need help. Well, what do we need to do?
Yeah,
to
what
get the
what
team
exactly
going?
would you say is the common problem that you are solving? Because I know you're solving a multitude of problems,
Yeah.
and there's many different ways. But if there was a common problem and the common solution, what the generic, what would it be?
I would probably say, and like you said, there's a variety of things that I deal with. No client is exactly the same. And so having knowledge of marketing is obviously helpful. We do a variety of industries. So marketing is done a certain way and it looks a little different in each industry, but having the knowledge of marketing as a whole is important to being able to do that across industries, variety of industries. But I'd say, in my experience, even not just in the fractional CMO role, but an actual CMO role that I've had in the past, and then director roles and things like that within marketing, I would say for the most part, most companies from the small to medium size levels struggle with disorganization. And so they're doing a lot of stuff, right? It could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be even CEOs, right? They've built this company, they've built it to the point, and now where do we go from here? How do we scale? Or things just aren't operating how they should be. I don't know why I'm not getting a good return on my investment. And so having a fractional leadership position like a CMO come in and be able to say, all right, let's take a halt. Let's evaluate, what's happening, and let's see, little tweaks and things that we can make, or maybe completely different strategies and protocols that we can put in place to help you get to a level where scalability is possible.
Is that ultimately kind of what it comes down to with lack of organization, lack of all these things, is what keeps your company from scaling? Is that what your opinion would be of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies out there. I've seen it where they are very disorganized, and they're somehow by their own, grit can just grab it and go and take it, to new heights.
But it's probably not a smooth transaction. It's kind of like that very well easily could catch up with them.
Yep.
That's not a business that you can really sell.
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, those are the specific businesses that are in a niche where there's just a huge need kind of thing. A lot of demand, little supply sort of situation, and you're kind of lucky to be involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that only lasts so long.
Yeah.
So you kind of help build the longevity in many ways in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're first starting a company, you kind of have to bootstrap it, right? It's basically you. And so you start to scale a little bit. You add an employee, you add an assistant, you add, various departments. And so it starts off very messy because you saw a market, you saw a need, and you saw an opportunity. And so you just kind of take it by your bootstraps and get it off. And when it starts to catch on, what a lot of small business owners don't realize is that you eventually reach a point where you're like, I just can't do it myself anymore. Like, I don't have the time. I'm getting tired. I can't afford to spend 180 hours a week being a CEO, a president, a CMO, a VP of sales, a director of whatever. And so usually it's when they get to that point where they've kind of hit their peak for the business that they start thinking, all right, what do we need to do now? I can't keep doing this. I want to scale it, or I want to sell this in 5 years. And I can't tell you how many businesses, even friends of mine that own businesses, where they're like, I'd love to just get out of this. And maybe it's a $2 million a year company, and they're like, what do I do, Kyle? I'm like, well, first of all, you can't sell your business because it's basically you. So you can't really sell yourself. So you need to create a business model that is not only scalable, but allows the free flow of money and product sales and things like that to make it appealing to someone to come in, either as an absentee owner or someone that's just looking to get their feet wet and run a business. So I can't tell you how important it is to make sure that things are organized and ready to scale.
Let's talk about your past experience getting to where you are now and knowing how to ultimately help a business do this. What is your background? Where did you come from? Where'd you gain all this experience?
Great question. So, a variety of things, right? So I've been working since I was, 7 years old. I still remember Josh, the entrepreneur that he is, my older brother, started mowing lawns. And as an entrepreneur, he's like, well, I can mow these lawns, or I can let my little brother mow them and pay him a little bit of money, and I'll just oversee it.
Yeah.
So started there, and obviously have been in marketing probably for the last 12 to 15 years. And that all kind of started, I originally thought I was going to be a architect. So I was a physics major in college, did, up to Calc 3 and physics, University Physics 2.0. And, when it started getting into, why does this number not exist? It was probably my breaking point. I said, you know what? I need to find something else. And so I started taking some business and marketing classes. And what I discovered there was that I really liked the psychological aspect of marketing, right? So presenting a case for a product, a service, or a business, for instance, that was appealing to a consumer. And so that kind of, in college, had some good professors, and that got me interested. And so from there, I worked in the MBA Development League, doing sales and marketing. And from there, in an educational system as a director of marketing and fundraising. I've done some work for nonprofits in the CMO space as well, a startup as a CMO that was in a space that was both educational and athletics based, which was appealing to me because I was a Division I athlete, played basketball. And from there, what really happened was I decided at that point that I kind of just want to work for myself, right? And so I started my consultancy, which has now blossomed into through the help of
Was the same kind of consultancy? Was it a little smaller, maybe more marketing focused?
It was mostly just me, right? And I remember them asking me when they're like, "Hey, when you're setting this up for SunBiz and all the different business documents you have to set up, they're like, are you planning to hire people?" And I said, "No, I don't want to hire people because it really takes a lot of energy and steam to hire people if you don't have someone to manage it." So like the business owners I'm helping, I made the decision because I was like, I don't have someone there to kind of help me manage these employees if I plan to scale. And so I made the decision to just be a sole consultancy. And from there, it kind of blossomed into work through a vendor, New York Ave, which was owned by Josh, my brother, which then, blossomed into Andrew and West. And so Andrew West is, basically, what I'm my baby with alongside Josh, and helping to scale and grow that with the additions of executive leaders and people that can help businesses grow. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that in doing business as a New York Ave agency, and then sometimes having you as I guess more of a vendor consultant in a way. Like, what was ultimately the need that you and Josh found to start Andrew and West and say, we need to start doing this and helping clients with this specific? Like, what were those holes exactly as they were being introduced to New York Ave?
Of course, yeah. So depending on the business, right, there's a huge benefit for a marketing agency. So again, they're at this point where they're like, we need to scale. Maybe they have someone in-house. It's like a marketing manager, or social media manager, or an assistant of some sort. But they know that something's wrong. Like something's could be better. I wouldn't say it's wrong. It could be better. And so the marketing agency presented an opportunity where instead of hiring a team of marketing professionals, a social media manager, a marketing assistant, a blog writer, a videographer, all that sort of stuff. Instead of hiring a team internally and the massive expense that can be, what they decided was, well, an agency makes the perfect. It's kind of all of that in one, and so I can manage one point of contact. Whoever my account manager is or my marketing coordinator is. And so that's kind of the need that filled. But for certain clients, larger clients, I'd say, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million plus companies have a little bit of a greater need, right? It's not just, I need to sell real estate or I need to sell insurance or something like that. They're, selling large products or large quantities of products. And so it's not as easy to be done with just the help of an agency. And so where we started to see the need was they need someone to kind of manage it.
Yeah.
You know,
The middleman
CEO.
between the business and the agency. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so,
Because the agency obviously gets to know you and your business, but not intimately. Like there
yes.
is you can't fulfill an in-house per se in that way. However, hiring an agency in-house is ginormously expensive.
Oh yeah.
So so you seem to be the hybrid that helps kind of fix that. Like I can help this agency be very intimate with you guys by helping manage that in that way. So I can get to know your business. I can truly know how to manage these guys for you specifically.
Yep.
And that's kind of the hole you fill in many ways.
100%. You put it, almost perfectly, that knowing them on a more intimate level is one very important thing or aspect of Andrew and Wes. The other important thing is sometimes when you're at that scalable, $50 million a year company, the CFO or the CEO or the president should not be overseeing the marketing. They should not be, they should say, hey, here's an idea I have, someone implement it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to do that with just an agency. You can throw it out there, but most agencies don't have a consultative approach or the experience of like a CMO or whatnot, or a leadership person in marketing.
Right.
And so that kind of helps bridge the gap.
I can't stand it too. Like, I mean, I would say this is mostly small businesses, but I can't stand it when they're like, oh, we'll just get a young person who knows some social media and online and tech stuff, and they'll be our marketing coordinator in a way. And then you spend all this money on an agency, or maybe they don't. That's the problem. But you get a good agency, a professional agency, but you're not able to make it work as well. And so it is definitely a huge hole that I don't think anybody admits that they want to spend money on. And so here's my question. When you present hiring an agency plus hiring Andrew and Wes and all this stuff, I'm sure they see the ticket price and they're like, oh my gosh. Now, naturally, it's going to be less expensive than hiring someone in-house. But when they see that, I'm sure they maybe get a little bit scared on it sometimes. But what are you ultimately providing for them to make that money almost like seem nothing?
Yeah, I think, it goes back to my point about positioning the company for scalability, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is scalability.
Marketing is essential. We're in 2025, guys. I mean, if you don't have marketing, there's a problem.
Define marketing for us.
Oh God.
Because I mean, yeah. I love when I'm listening to a podcast and the company's talking about how they don't do marketing. I'm like, I'm literally listening to a podcast. So, it's almost like this like pride thing. Like I don't market, I just scale. It's like, what is would you say is the ground level marketing?
I mean, marketing is really ingrained in everything, even your sales processes and procedures, right?
Yeah.
They have materials that they're using to sell a product.
Mm-hmm.
How did you make those materials? That's marketing. Your website. I don't know a business of any value that doesn't have a website. Marketing, right? Are you doing mailers? Are you doing campaigns? Do you have email marketing? Do you have video podcasting? Do you have business cards, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. So marketing is really a massive, all-inclusive piece that is meant to both support your sales efforts and present an opportunity to help scale the company through, generation of interest, leads, engagement, et cetera. And so I'd say anything related to generating engagement, interest, or sales is, a lot of marketing with an integration of sales efforts as well.
How do you help clients understand how ROI works? And the reason why I ask you that is because sometimes I think of a consultant as like, the only time you should ever spend money is if you know you're getting 300% back for every dollar that you spend. I imagine everyone thinks that is like the only reason a business should ever spend money is to make the money. And while that makes sense, obviously, that's not actually true.
Yep.
Like you spend plenty of money that doesn't always make you the money back, but it's like everything's relative in that sense. I think of an office space. An office space, obviously, you need to make money, but it's not like that specific office space returns like my $2,000 a month rent earns me $6,000 a month in revenue. Like, so how do you help them understand what to invest in and when not to invest in, when they should expect the exact ROI and tracking it that way versus, no, this is just helps grow value to your company. How do you help them navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, ROI it's not so black and white, right? It's not like I spend $1, I get X number of dollars back.
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with a very small business owner, and he told me, he's like, well, I spent, $1,000 on ads and I know that I'm going to make 20,000 back. And if I'm not making 20,000, then it's a waste of my time. And, my reply back was like, if you're making 20x on $1,000 ad spend on, Facebook ads,
You need to spend $100,000 right now.
yeah, you need to go all in because I've been doing this for 15 years. And even when it was great on Facebook ads, no one was making 20x.
How much of that was BS?
I like to think that when you first start running an ad campaign, you usually do see a little bit of traction that makes sense. And I think it's kind of the way of, either the ad agency or
it's like a guy who went up to batted twice, got one hit. He's like, I bet 500.
Yep. or it's like,
Go to bat a few more times.
It's like when I turned 18, I bought a scratch off and I feel like they were like, oh, this guy just turned 18. Let's give him a winner. And so I won. And, for the next 3 years, I was buying scratch offs because my first experience was that. And I see that a lot of companies. They're like, I've been spending $8,000 a month or $20,000 a month on ads. And the first year we crushed it. It's 10 years later. There's a company I talk to right now. They aren't a client of ours, but I swear at least once or twice a year they reach out to complain about their ad spend. And it's been almost 10 years. And I'm like, do something about it. I've been giving you recommendations, right? Stop spending the money where you don't need to. But there's that fear, right? There's the fear of if I don't spend that, I'm not going to make anything. And so back to your original question, obviously, how do I, talk about ROI? And so it's not so black and white. There is an ROI on, anything marketing related, right? So maybe it's just changing your philosophy of what ROI is. Like you said, we pay for the light bill in this building, right? Or these lights that you see around us or this microphone or whatnot. This microphone isn't going to mean I get 20 new clients, right? Or me doing this podcast doesn't necessarily mean
buying the microphone doesn't give it to you.
Exactly.
Using the microphone might, though.
Exactly. So I think it's a philosophy shift of like, what is it actually doing? What is the real ROI? And so sometimes it's, as a fractional leader, you get your time back. And so a $60 million a year company president, his time's pretty valuable.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's $5,000, $10,000 an hour.
Yeah.
And, by shifting that onto me or another leadership position or pushing the marketing onto a team, you've now freed up 40 hours a week of your time.
Yeah.
Well, that's $40,000 a week
Right.
that you're saving for a
Right.
fraction of the cost of what you're spending.
Right.
And so I think savvy business owners understand that. They understand I don't have the bandwidth, even if I work 24/7 and slept 20 minutes a day, I still don't have the bandwidth to do everything. And so I can either stay where I'm at and be either unhappy or overworked, or I can begin to bring in responsible executive leaders that have a track record of success to help me take that next step.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of it is coaching them on, what is the ROI? Because I hear that question all the time. What's the ROI on this? And so another thing I like to say is marketing is a lot different from advertising. A lot of people can't separate the two.
Yeah.
They're like, marketing is advertising, marketing. No, advertising is a piece of marketing. And so advertising is very easy to tell you your ROI. I spend $1 on Google. It tells me how many clicks I get, how many views I get, and then I can see of those clicks, did they fill out a form on my website? Did they fill out that landing page? It's very easy for me to say, I spent $1,000, I got this amount back. Marketing's a little more subjective or a little more blurred lines, so to speak.
Sure.
I can't tell you because I handed you, Jeremy, a business card that that was the reason you called me. Maybe it's the conversation we had.
Yeah.
I can't tell the sales team, no sales team's going out there selling a product that doesn't have some sort of materials, right?
Yeah.
Business card, letterheads, envelopes, rack cards, whatever it may be. they're handing something to a client. Even
Yeah.
like they're doing trade shows, I'm handing something. The booth at a trade show, right?
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah.
You know, if the booth is not organized the right way, if it's not, if it doesn't have the right signage or information,
Your marketing makes or breaks advertising.
It does.
Like you cannot advertise without having marketing invested in marketing in the first place, right?
100%.
I think maybe that's where they think of it, because advertisers are like, we'll do some marketing for you, but you still are paying for the marketing before the advertising.
Yep. Well, I mean, you look at what's the cornerstone of Google's ad income. Small businesses spending $500 a month or less in advertising spend. It's because, and you see all the time, if you know anyone that just started a business, almost immediately you're getting reached out to by Google. Hey, saw you starting my Google business profile. Have you thought about advertising spend? Here's a few free dollars, to get started. And so most businesses start with advertising, which is the improper way to do it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you get some quick wins and you get hooked. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
And we all know how drugs end, right? Is you get hooked and then you're chasing it constantly.
Yeah.
But if you do it the proper way, which is creating a platform or a foundation that is marketing, now all of your ad spend is directing traffic to digital assets or even printed pieces that you can hold, that is more successful, right? So
kind of building their toolbox in a way, right? Like, what do you always have available to market with, not versus a campaign? I've actually used this illustration in the past. I'm curious if you like it. Someone was telling me about things they were investing in. I said, if you were to buy a car that runs but has no tires on it, right? It's a crappy car.
Yep.
And you need to put gasoline in it. So marketing is the car, advertising is the gasoline. How well does that drive? Right?
Yep.
So if you invest well in marketing and then use the same exact cost for advertising, now all of a sudden the advertising is great. Is it the advertising that worked or the marketing that worked in that situation?
Yep.
That is the variable, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably what you're saying when you talk about ROI. It's like, well, let's get the marketing done and then we'll figure out the advertising to do, because we can change the way we advertise. But the marketing is what you need to have as a valued asset in that situation, right?
I love that analogy, because the reality of it is it doesn't have tires on it. The car will still go. It'll be gross and it won't
do
ugly,
you very well, and it won't help your growth. Yeah.
And you can continue pouring fuel in it, and eventually you're going to go a long distance. But imagine you did put tires on it, and now you could probably put a fraction of the amount of gas and go 10 times the distance. And so, I love that analogy. I'm probably going to steal that from you.
I welcome it. Here you go, Andrew and West. Well, I want to ask you this question too. What do you believe is the biggest downfall of small businesses, keeping them back from scaling? Is it marketing or is it organization? Or is it neither? Or is it maybe something else?
There's so many different businesses.
Sure. If you had to choose, gun to your head.
If it's ones that I'm engaged with, I would say it's marketing and disorganization.
Okay. Well, you have to decide between the two, Kyle.
Goodness gracious. I can't really. It's kind of like a disorganization of marketing. Right?
Sure.
And sometimes I wouldn't say all the time, but sometimes it's just disorganization in general.
Yeah.
Maybe disorganization is a sales team or department.
Right.
They don't know what they're doing. They're all over the place. They're doing marketing. They're doing sales. They're going to get coffee for the office. They're
kind of like the business is done well. They got to a point, but they're on a treadmill now. They can't seem to get past that point because they're just. Would you say it's like, if you were to look at their organization, or I should say, you look at their disorganization, is it due to if there's anything I've noticed in other businesses, it seems to be a lack of consistency, a lack of system that develops consistency.
Yeah, so I guess if I do you put a gun to my head, right?
Yeah.
I would probably say that disorganization probably is the root of it.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about, let's just take a sales team for instance, right? I could hire a salesperson right now. Let's just say for Andrew and Wes, I can hire and I bring him in like, hey, you're hired. go sell. He'll be like, it could be the best salesperson in the world, and maybe he'll get some wins for us. But I have not prepared him in any way, shape, or form. He knows very little about us other than what's online. There's no strategy for what he's doing. Is he driving around knocking on doors? Is he sending out mailers? Is he making phone calls, cold calls, warm calls? Is he on LinkedIn using Sales Navigator? So I would say disorganization is a root cause of a lot of this stuff for sales, marketing, even executive leadership, like a CEO or something. And sometimes it can be handled and sometimes it can't, but that's the beauty of Andrew and West is your marketing's disoriented, hire a fractional CMO. Your sales team, needs help. Maybe they need to build out a CRM so that they can have more organization. Hire a fractional CRO. Your CEO is wondering, how the heck do I manage my time better? Because I feel like I'm burning up. Hire some, executive coaching, from our team to help you get to that next threshold or organize yourself in such a way that you can scale. I guess we fix disorganization.
I would, in many ways, I view that. Obviously, you have let me compare big and small, right? Because let's say a $20 million business, which by all means could be technically a small business in many ways. It depends on the industry. Like a construction industry, 20 million, medium-sized business, right?
Well, I think 150 million and under is considered a small business in the U.S.
Well, there you go.
So
most
of
are
who we're talking to right now,
I guess you're right.
You're a small business.
Yeah. So I would say it seems that the disorganization happens. Like the growth happens because what you do is like you are good at what you do. You've obviously had success to grow to this point, but you've probably grown in success because technically you're an entrepreneur that leads the way in doing the business, working in the business, but not necessarily on the business. Profit, success is not just, it could be because you have a great service and great product. But eventually, if you're not working on the business, it's going to end up catching up with you. Or like you said, you'll end up stuck. You can't sell, you can't scale or move forward. You're kind of just stuck in a place. You seem to be the person who's like, hey, when you're ready to start working on your business, I will help you, or I will replace you to help you work on your business to then help you sell. And it's
100%.
I mean, that's what every business owner, entrepreneur needs is someone working on the business, whether it's them or someone like you.
Yep.
And it's sometimes a little bit of both, right? I mean, everyone works on their business in a sense, but having an experienced person who knows how to connect sales, marketing, organization toward helping that out and everything like that, that's what makes this ship really go, man.
100%. I mean, look at any massive business. Take Amazon, for instance. Started with Jeff in his garage selling books that he was purchasing and reselling.
Yeah.
If he had never brought in others to help him scale the business, we wouldn't even know his name.
Yeah.
Right? He'd be still selling books probably on Craigslist or something.
Yeah.
The fact that he had the mindset to not only just have a great idea, which is where most good businesses start, is you have a great idea. Where most businesses fail is now I need to scale that idea. And that's where they usually fail. And it's because they're trying to do it themselves.
And I would argue that, I bet you would agree with me on this one, that it's because it's their baby, it's really hard to scale. When it's your baby, you look at it a little bit more as this passion project than a business to scale.
Yep.
And you have to be able to let go of certain things for scalability. Not to say you lose quality, not to say you lose any of those things, but you have to be able to see it in a different lens.
Yes.
And I believe that you guys help with that lens. I've seen you do that with companies.
I mean, when it comes to business, I hate to say this, but sometimes you got to take the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
You don't, let's say you have a great relationship with an employee. If that employee is doing a terrible job consistently and you've talked to them, just because I like that person does not mean I'm keeping them as an employee.
Yeah.
It's a really tough conversation, but you do sometimes have to take the emotion out of it. And the emotional side of like finances. You see, let's just say a marketing retainer, which includes fractional leadership and things like that. Let's just say it's $20,000 a month. I don't know, whatever. You see that as a number. Let's say it's $20,000 a month. So $240,000 a year. You're like, oh dear God, $240,000 a year. But you look at your numbers and you're like, well, I'm a $60 million a year company. That's an inkling of what I'm spending. And the value I'm getting in return is not only my time back, but also the opportunity to grow it into an $80 million company or a 90 or 100, $120 million company. And so it's hard to do that. And I know this because, I'm a small business owner, right? And so seeing a, $200,000 price tag on something, it's like, I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is I need to take the emotion out of it and look at the data, the numbers, the opportunity that's presented itself. And marketing is a lot of just trial and error, right?
Yeah.
In and of itself, I get to be the person that's like, let's try some stuff out and see if it works, right? So maybe we spend a little on Facebook. Maybe we spend on an agency. Maybe we try out some campaigns through email marketing or direct mail or whatever. And then we take a step back and evaluate that. And then we know, take the emotion out, the data shows this. This is not working, stop spending on it. This is working, let's double down.
Yeah. I think that most journeys for an entrepreneur is lonely. They're very alone. Like it starts and stops with them. And having someone who's not a business partner, but almost like one, like yourself, who's coming in saying, I'm going to help you scale this thing. Because employees don't think about scaling as much as they think about their paycheck. They think about scaling as far as their paycheck goes. And that's actually fair. Like, I'm not saying that's bad.
Yeah.
You're coming in and saying, like, you need help, and I'm here to help you. And I think you have a very good niche and experience to say, like, here's where I can help you grow that. And I think a lot of small businesses need to be looking into that and be looking into Andrew and West. And just go ahead and share, too, like, Andrew and West is part of the family of businesses actually at Paper Jacket. So we have Paper Jacket. We've been talking about New York Ave as a marketing agency. Paper Jacket's a media company. You guys are the consultants that help kind of tie a lot of things together. And so some of our relationships with clients is like, you've come in as their CMO. You've helped them with New York Ave, kind of managing them. And then we've come in as the media company, you handling us. So something that also happens is they already have a suite of businesses to kind of work around and with. Not to say that everyone who hires you has to hire us.
Yeah, 100%.
But it is like I come in with many connections, including this intimate of a connection.
Yeah. Well, here's the beauty of it, right? Let's say you just want to start with the executive leadership. You bring in a CMO or a CRO or whatnot. We do have a family of companies, but it's not always the right fit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of having that is I can hold those teams accountable. I know for the last decade, they have consistently produced good quality work that has generated results. And so I've been in a number of executive positions as a fractional CMO or fractional consultant or whatever it may be in marketing, where I've been almost forced to not use our family of companies. Not necessarily because they didn't like us or something like that. Sometimes it's just they do something that New York Ave doesn't, or they do something that Paper Jacket doesn't or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, all right, let's try this other company. I'll go through the process. One of the benefits, you don't have to do it. I'll go through the process, vet dozens of different agencies and companies and things like that. I'll get quotes, I'll get, references, I'll look at their work, and then I'll come back and present to a CEO, for instance, say, hey, here's my thoughts. Here's the top 3 that I really liked. Here's the cost associated with it. I really like this one, though. But for your sake, let's interview them. And so there's been more than a few times where we've interviewed and we've all unanimously said, this company is the one. They seem like they know what they're doing. They seem like the right fit for us. And then a year later, after hundreds of thousands of dollars, they were the worst ever. They had huge turnover of employees. So my point of contact's always changing. They were not responsive because maybe they're shipping it out to India or the Philippines or something. And so there's always a 2 to 3 day window to get anything done. And the product that they produced was just, breaking all the time and not working. And every time that thing breaks, they're charging you more. They're like, oh, well, we got to spend some more hours. The beauty of having this family of companies is that I have access to say, I'm confident in this. I know Paper Jacket's going to do a podcast that's going to be awesome. I know New York Ave is going to, if you need an agency, I know they're going to do an amazing job for you. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes they go another direction. I'm with them. And then we come back a year later and we're like, yeah, Kyle, probably should have gone with New York Ave or Paper Jacket. And I'm like, we learned, right?
Yeah.
That's part of marketing, right? You spend and you learn. If you're not learning from your mistakes, then your cost of education is high. Yeah. So my mentor always says, when you make a mistake or you spend money on something that doesn't work, make sure you learn from it, because then it's just like tuition. Yeah. And you're like, you paid tuition for college, you paid tuition for, learning your field and learning the things that work right. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for joining us in our podcast today on this stormy afternoon. I have no idea if it's even if our audience is probably listening, what storm. Well, I don't know if you heard it, but there's been a crazy storm outside.
The information being shared is so good that we might be struck down by lightning. Don't share that.
God is clapping. Yeah, this one. So anyway, again, thank you for joining us. Toast with our Coke. And I'm sure we'll see you again on the podcast.